Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing the Cooler Master GM34. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get this thing unboxed, the first Cooler Master monitor we've ever unboxed on the channel. Okay, so you pull these two tabs on the back. Overall, the packaging, I like it so far. A little bit got beaten up here, so we'll see how well this was actually packaged. They have some unboxing instructions right there. Then we're gonna lay it down flat, and they have a little handle for you right here. All right, and all out, we first got actually a lot going on here. Okay, so first we have the quick start manual. We've got a DisplayPort cable, an HDMI cable, and then a USB Type B cable, and in fact, let's open this up. The manual, warranty information, and a micro USB. It's a very nice braided micro USB, but for what? We will see. Hopefully that's not for the RGB on this, because there is an RGB. That would be kind of weird, but I'm assuming that's actually what that is. And then you get those three cables. Now the rest in the box, we have the power cable, which is just one of these very common power cables. This is good. That means there is an internal power supply on this, which is fantastic. For some people, that's actually a deal breaker, so this is a good thing. Moving on to the rest of the stand, we've got an interesting design, a very interesting shape on the back, but it is a clip-in, lock-in stand, which is very nice. And then we even have a little bit of cable management for the back. And these little clips, I've used quite a lot of these in my time using monitors. These actually seem to work very well. However, this stand is very thin, so I don't know how well it's going to work. However, this is all what feels to be metal. Yeah, so I think this is all metal down here. Looks like we may have some swivel, I'm not sure. But overall, yeah, the stand is nice. Let's clip this there a little bit, so that's very nice. And then the bottom of the stand, very cool looking. Lighter than I was expecting, but I think, yeah, this top is all metal. So this is actually very premium. It feels very nice. And I absolutely love that they put their Cooler Master logo into the stand, but it doesn't look dumb. So this is all gonna be RGB'd out right there and all around the bottom. So I think there's an RGB and a non-RGB version. But let's put this together, line it up, and high quality, a very nice thumb screw in the bottom actually, that's quite nice. And then you can see there's that micro USB. So as I thought, so it looks like to do the RGB, you're probably gonna have to download a software. I don't know though, but it looks like it's gonna be controlled or at least powered maybe through your computer rather than the monitor. So that's a little bit of weird thing going on there, but we don't know yet. Okay. But let's get to the actual panel, and there we go. It's nice and open, so you can just get that in there. Overall, nice design on the back. So clip in the top first, get those lined up. It's actually a little bit more difficult than I was expecting. The stand is an interesting design, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. And then press it down and it's locked in. Not actually too heavy, which is a good thing. And then pulling off the plastic, and we got a lot going on. So first of all, a nice amount of curve. I don't know what this is, but it looks like more curve than your average LG monitor. But we got quite a bit of plastic on this. Packaging is very good. Yeah, the packaging is actually so good. No, never mind. Thought I was gonna need a knife, but you can pull right up. Interesting they're having the tape right on the screen. That actually makes me a little bit nervous. But okay, so while we take this off, let's just go over this. This has a list price of $650, which is a lot of money for a VA panel ultrawide. The competition is typically at $500 or $550. We've seen it max out pretty much at $550. I don't know if we reviewed a VA panel that's more than $550, and at this price, you're only $150 from LG's GP83AB, which is an absolutely fantastic monitor and probably the best IPS ultrawide for $800 for sure. So this one is going to have to be damn good to compete with an IPS that's only a little bit more expensive. All right, and then taking a little bit of plastic over the logo. I just wanna say, this is a very, very pretty design. Probably one of the prettiest, I think. This is matte right here, and then we have gloss coming up to the logo and coming back down. Mix it with the beautiful stand that's actually metal. I think it is. If it's not metal, it's very nice. It's a very pretty, clean, minimalistic monitor. But that's up with the screen off. Let's go over the ports before we get to the overall impressions, the gaming impressions, and then the ghosting impressions. It's a VA panel, so that's pretty important. Okay, so turning this around, a little bit more plastic on the back, more gloss, which I do like because it's just a little bit, even though you're never gonna see the back, they definitely did some nice designs. So we got the Cooler Master logo up here. We have the control stick, just one, so I appreciate that, but it's over on the left side. I don't typically like that because with dual monitor setups, very hard to use. Okay, and then coming down, got these cool accent pieces on the back, looks like a lock right there. And then coming down, we've got the power right here, one HDMI, two HDMI, a display port, a USB Type-C, that's a good sign, a USB Type-B, and then a 3.5mm audio out. Let's look for some, I'm looking for some other USBs. Looks like we got them over here on this side. So that's what that USB type B is going to be. So we got those over on that side. I love that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it's honestly very hard to go back from having those USBs, charging your headphones, stuff like that. It's just very convenient. But that's enough talk. Let's get it on the desk, get it set up, do the initial impressions, initial gaming impressions, and then a ghosting test. Let's do it. All right, guys, I'm gonna tell you right away, this is probably the best implementation of any RGB on a monitor that I have seen. I absolutely love it. It's very bright. You can see it all the time. It's way better than doing backlight on the back of your monitor that very rarely actually does anything. A few monitors hit the back of the wall, but most of them, it's not worth it. All right, but let's get to it. There is a little light I saw under here, not a button, but the button for the turning it on is just gonna be back there. Click it in, we got the Cooler Master logo up there, and it's up, and the first thing that I noticed is we actually have speakers coming from this, and just from that, they actually sound pretty good. All right, before we go into anything, let's go right into the menu system. Never used a Cooler Master menu system before. All right, so pretty dang basic, but it looks pretty functional. Definitely no learning curve. I can tell you that right away, but the menu system is obviously not that good. It looks very bad, but pretty easy to set up. So let's go through this, a bunch of different settings right here. They even have a Mac specific setting, which is kind of cool. Let's go into game, and there we can change different settings right there. We've got a bunch of different settings for this. Okay, so to select it, you can't click on it. You actually go over to the right, which then changes it. But we're gonna go up to Gamer 1, you go over to the right. So the menu system is okay. It's definitely not the worst, but I would say it could use some work. The overall functionality of it is fine, but the implementation could definitely be better. All right, let's go over into, so we can't adjust contrast and brightness in there. We're gonna go over into standard mode then, and then we're gonna adjust the brightness, set it to 100%. Okay, this menu system definitely needs some work. Okay, setting it all the way up to 100%. That's actually a very nice brightness. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's very hard to tell in this room with this light, but we don't need to check. We got a luxometer right here. All right, and checking the brightness, a solid 325, 330. Yeah, so around 340. I would say probably around 350. That's what you're probably going to get. But again, full test, full review. All right, let's go into display settings. It is a max resolution of 3440 by 1440p. That's a good resolution, pretty typical resolution for this screen size and being an ultra wide. Set it to 144 Hertz. And we're gonna head into NVIDIA control panel, see if this can output 10 bits of color, and it can, very good at full 144 Hertz, and very good. Okay, now that's enough talk. Let's get into the gaming impressions. I'm excited about this one. So far it looks good, but still very close in price to that LG. I will say, moving back and forth, the overall viewing angles of this specific VA panel are pretty dang good. Definitely better than your average one. Things do wash out, but it's actually a pretty wide space. All right, guys, hopping right in game. I wanna say right away, this is definitely a very pretty image. We have much more contrast than you would get with an IPS panel because this is a VA panel. Now, this is very unfortunate because right away, I notice quite a substantial amount of red and green ghosting. Now, we're not gonna knock it too hard because this may just be something in the settings, so we will go over that, but we're actually gonna go over that in the full ghosting test right after this full initial game impressions, but it is quite noticeable, as you can see right there. This is definitely noticeable, okay? This may be some of the most that I've seen. This is actually very depressing because I absolutely love the way the stand looks. I love the overall look of the monitor and how polished it is, really on the level of, well, I think better than LG for its overall stand. However, the red and green ghosting it's substantial. I will also say, and we're gonna see if we can turn the volume up, but the speakers, they're actually not bad. These are actually pretty good speakers for monitor speakers. I'm actually impressed. The red and green ghosting is incredibly prevalent though. I'm gonna go into the settings right now, see if I can just adjust the overdrive is on dynamic. We're gonna just change it to normal, see if that changes anything. Still have a substantial amount. Maybe I didn't actually change it because the menu system's weird. Yeah, I didn't actually change it. So there it is. Let's see about this. Oh, well, I'm not even seeing it at this point. So let's actually go down, try advanced. Okay, we're gonna leave it in advanced. Seemed to take it away completely right there. So, okay, maybe it's good now. Again, this one is definitely gonna be a little bit one where I'm gonna spend a lot of time using and testing the red and green ghosting. So definitely subscribe below for the full review coming very, very shortly. Yeah, so the red and green ghosting is basically gone immediately. So just from the changing that overdrive setting just a little bit, so their tuning may be incredibly good. And the red and green ghosting may just be from a marketing thing. It's very common to do the fastest one as fast as possible to be able to say you have a very low pixel response time setting. So overall, I'm gonna continue to game on this just a little bit, but the input lag, again, this is just feeling, this is not tested, that'll be in the full review, but it feels very, very quick. The side-to-side movements seem fairly wide, and the ghosting, it definitely has ghosting. It's a VA panel, but it doesn't look too intense again with that red and green ghosting now that we set it to advanced. But again, that'll be in the ghosting test. This is a very pretty contrasty image, I will say that. All right, but with that, overall, it was an enjoyable gaming experience, but again, that's just my initial gaming. All right, but that's enough of that. Let's get to the ghosting test, see how the ghosting actually is. All right, guys, right up on the screen. Again, we haven't changed any of the settings besides changing it to advanced. So right away, we do have some ghosting. Noticeable ghosting, pretty much as expected. So you can definitely see there is ghosting. A substantial amount for a VA panel? No, absolutely not. However, let's change these settings. I would imagine that what happened is it's going to change dramatically. So let's go to, we're currently in advanced. Let's change it to ultra fast, which does give some pixel overshooting and inverse ghosting. Now, the interesting thing is we have typical ghosting depending on the image. And again, I think this is because it causes that red and green ghosting, which is essentially where you're gonna have normal ghosting, but also inverse ghosting at the same time. I think that's what that is. Don't quote me on it. But you can see in ultra fast, we do have some normal ghosting as well as pixel overshooting. Let's go to dynamic. Dynamic changes that very, very slightly. In off, we've got quite a bit of normal ghosting. Normal, a little bit less, advanced, a little bit less. I would say advanced is definitely the best one to set it in. Now, this amount of ghosting, totally dependent on your playstyle. For me, this would be fine for everyday usage. This is definitely one of the lower ghosting for VA panels, while not having that red and green ghosting, which is huge. Now, this setting, the ultra fast and dynamic, which is the fastest one, those will both cause the red and green ghosting. This one will not. So I would say pretty much all the time, leave it in advanced. And I would say overall they did a good job with this. However, this is very similar to the Dell S34-22DWG as well as the Asus. Although the Asus, I couldn't get the red and green ghosting to go away. So this one is absolutely better than the Asus. But the Dell, I don't know how much different it actually is. I will say that this overall, the stand, the overall monitor, I love the RGB. It's very, very polished. The speaker system is not amazing, but it's quite good for a monitor. So all of those things added together to a very refined product. The only thing that's not refined is, again, this menu system, but it is fairly easy to learn. We also do have this motion clearness, which is interesting. Typically, these kind of things you can't have FreeSync Premium on at the same time. So this looks like a motion blur reduction setting. Which is also very interesting. But overall, am I impressed with this monitor? I think it's good so far, but is it worth the price difference between either a VA panel like Dell's S34-22DWG or LG's IPS panel that bumps it up a little bit, the LG 34GP83AB. Is that enough? We will have to find out. But again, if you want to check it out, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. This is going to be a very fun one to review. Review coming very, very soon, so subscribe below if you want to watch that. It may already be out. But yes, this was Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.